And speaking of that, what happened to the discipline of rhetoric?
Yeah.
What happened to that? Because it seems like when you read ancient Roman texts or ancient Greek texts, they're always talking about the rhetoricians and rhetoric. They were trained in rhetoric. They were trained to debate these things.
Do you know what this is? It's not even from the modern perspective where words are just like, wow, I can persuade somebody for practical purposes. I manipulated them to my advantage. It's not that. That's not how the ancients saw it. Rhetoric was an important discipline, and actually the most important discipline, because the ancients and the ancient Greeks and Romans saw power in language. They thought that language had a qualitative reality where when a word named a thing, it was speaking to the essence of that thing. It was signifying not just a term, not just an arbitrary cultural construction, but the reality of the thing itself. The proper word could describe the proper reality, and that was it. So when you had good rhetoric, you had a good command of the language. You could not only just describe reality, you could speak reality in a real sense. It wasn't just a detached description, arbitrary but not fully encapsulating the thing. No, the good speech was reality itself. That was the difference. That's where they saw the value in it. Later, to answer your question, way down the line, we don't see that same reality in language. We see language as an arbitrary thing. Our words are just meaningless sounds that emanate from our mouth that we understand only in context with each other. It doesn't actually signify or directly ascertain the nature of an object. Doesn't matter. It just says it, and we know what it means in the context of our own language game that we're playing. And maybe there's something inherent to the structure of language itself, but that's still something only in the human mind and not something that relates to reality itself. There's a detachment there. There's a movement from metaphysics, from the object, from the ontology of the object itself, to pure human subjectivity. And the way the Romans or the Greeks saw rhetoric, good language was speaking to the good of a thing. If you could articulate a thing well, you are articulating its essential true reality. This is another digression, but you could show how well the Greeks and Romans praised or valued rhetoric. You could see like the salaries that were paid to workers and slaves in the Roman Empire. I think it was Claudius, I might be wrong on the empire, but he commissioned a survey of all the wages that were being paid at different jobs in the empire. And Greek slave rhetoricians were being paid the most.
Whoa. Slave rhetoricians?
Yeah, because Greek slaves, scholars, the Romans enslaved like Greek scholars, basically, to tutor their kids and tutor the elite and everything else. But mathematicians, architects, paid less. We associate Rome or the Roman Empire with its great architecture, its aqueducts, the Colosseum, the Parthenon, whatever. But no, the architects were paid the least. The rhetoricians were paid the most.
The priorities were different.
They're different, totally different.
Yeah.
Because they saw that value in language. It's speaking to a true reality was more important than the architectural structure that you create that we value now because it's practical.
The architecture stemmed from the reality that the rhetoricians created.
Yes, that's the way they would see it, 100%.
That's so sick.
Whatever the rhetoricians could describe in a meaningful sense, that's where the architecture in some way would flow from. It was a principle. It was a truth, a real truth, an objective, mind-independent truth that they were ascertaining. Absolutely. So, yeah, again, it's a long-winded answer to your question, but that's where did the rhetoric go? I think it sort of decouples from this new association with language that we have, where we see language as arbitrary. It maybe signifies something. We know what it means, but that doesn't say anything about the object itself. For a Greek or a Roman or anybody else, if you said chair over there, and I'm pointing to a chair, that would mean something essential and real and integral about the object of the chair, independent of what we thought about it. Now we say that object, we don't know what, it's a chair. We just call it that and we associate it amongst each other. It doesn't necessarily have to map onto the actual object itself. Where does that actual object exist? Is it a Platonic form? Is there an essence inherent in the chair? We don't know, but we say it and that's what matters. It has subjective meaning for us. That's it. So it's different. What does rhetoric matter when it's all subjective?
Yes.
Rhetoric only matters when it's attached to the objective.
Yes. Yes.
So if there's no objective, what does it matter? Rhetoric's all empty.
We need to bring back the Roman Forum.
Bring it back. Return to the Roman Forum. No, dude.
I guess never mind. It does kind of happen like on a social media scale.
Right. Well, how did that work? Because it seems like so many important things happened in the Roman Forum.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had a political speech to make, you would just get up in the forum and make it. Like what was going on there?
I don't know the exact procedures, honestly. I don't want to speak to it because it would probably differ from the time period. I know it differed in the Republic versus how it operated in the Empire. But regardless, in principle, yes, you could speak your case. But what this was predicated on, and this would be my claim, it was predicated on the understanding that some people were worthy of speaking. Those masters of rhetoric that we just described, they'd be the ones to speak. The unwashed masses, like the true plebeian, wouldn't even think it in his station to get up and speak on the podium. He didn't think his opinion was worth it in that sense. And then not because he had some sort of like insecurity or self-diminishment, because he understood his proper station in relation to other speakers or other people who could articulate a faculty that he didn't possess.
Yeah, it's a skill that he just didn't have.
Yeah, that hierarchical understanding of both human station and human faculty was integral to that ancient understanding. So yes, and I mean, of course, you had real legitimate political positions. Like if you were a senator, you're in the Senate and you're really speaking. You know, like that's an elected station. It's different. You're not just part of the masses, you could say. But even within the Senate, there'd be a hierarchy. Why does Cicero have so many speeches?
Why?
Because he was the best. He was good. That was and the people around him were capable of recognizing that and appreciating it and giving it its place. There wasn't this individualistic competition to try and I'm going to assert I'm going to beat Cicero. Of course, you'd have his rivals, but they might have been capable in the same fashion, you know. But by the same token, many people in the Senate were perfectly okay with letting Cicero voice their concerns for them. They could let them represent them.
Is like journalism the replacement of that?
Interesting. I don't know if it is. I don't know if journalism is an interesting phenomenon because I don't know if there's a real historical precedent for it. It seems to me like totally modern in a certain sense. Like journalism depends on mass media or mass communication. It's already related to those conditions. The fact that I'll put it this way. The Senate was talking to the Senate, and they were making decisions for the rest of the people in the Roman Republic, for instance. The journalists are speaking to the masses in a different way. Their whole audience is the masses. They're reporting what occurs in those elite institutions to everybody else. And because of that, their very structure is different. They're already operating on the basis of mass communication. The masses are literate and are capable of reading or hearing what the journalists say, that it can be broadcasted and so on and so forth. I think it's just journalism, as we understand it, is a unique phenomenon in the modern world. I don't think it's a coincidence that we see it in a pronounced way when industrial technology reaches a certain point that mass communication is possible. For me, at least at first glance, it stands out as a unique historical phenomenon and isn't capable of that particular analog. I don't know if it's really related to what journalists are related to what the Roman Senate was or certain speakers in the Senate. I don't think it's a real comparison. The journalist, for me, appears something very modern and very unique in that way. Dependent and contingent on that mass communication and the mass politics that follows from it. Yeah, that's what I would say.